Okay, so today we will start with the loop control structures. So what are loop control structures? Well, loop control structures are used to execute and repeat a block of statements depending on the value of a given condition. Okay, and it can execute a statement or a group of statements multiple times. So basically we are talking about iteration. Just look at the flow chart given here. Please be careful, don't draw anything on the screen. Okay, you see we have a flow chart here for loop control statements. Okay, talking about loop control statements, we have different types. Okay, however, we'll come to that later. You see, first always a condition is evaluated. Fine, we will always go for condition testing. If the condition is false, of course you can see this, okay, the arrow coming downwards. So this means if the condition is false, you need not execute the body of the loop. Okay, the control will not get inside the body and it will simply be transferred to the next statement, okay, immediate next statements in the program. But if the condition given is true, then the body followed by that particular statement, that particular loop statement will be executed. Okay, whatever whatever statements belongs to that block, okay, that body, all the statements will be executed accordingly, and those statements might be repeated. Okay, the execution for those statements for that particular body might be repeated for however long the condition is found to be true. Okay, so if you compare between decision statements and loop control statements, the different similarity is in both we have to check for conditions. Only if the condition is true, you can get inside the body and you start executing the statements. Okay, but in addition to that, okay, for statements, what do we have is we can, depending upon the condition, okay, and depending upon the logic, we might have to repeat a block of statement, okay, for as long as the condition is found to be true. Okay, so here we will be the block of code needs to be executed several number of times depending on the given condition. Fine, so this is all about loop control statements. Next we come to the different types. Well, talking about the types of loop control statements, we have three types. Okay, you already know we have the for statement, we have while, and then we have the do while statements. So we'll understand this with examples below. Okay, to see, just to give one statement for each, here for statement and while statement are somewhat similar. Okay, they execute in a similar manner. Fine, even do while is same, except that do while has got a difference. Okay, the do while has got a single difference from both for and while, otherwise all three are same. Fine, anyways, we'll start with for statement here. Okay, see, this is one example. Fine, here I have written the code here, and parallelly I have just given the execution steps here with the output. Okay, the words, the numbers in red are the output for the program. Now you see, well, talking about the syntax, for statement is written this way. Fine, this is how the highlighted part is actually the syntax for statement. Here in the for statement, of course, it always begins with the keyword for followed by parenthesis. Now inside the parenthesis, what do we have? First part is always called, we have three parts. Okay, we have three parts in for statement. First is always called the initialization. So initialization is where you will initialize a particular variable, okay, or a particular counter that you would keep track of, okay, with every iteration. Next, we have the conditional section. We have the conditional part. So here we check for conditions, and as I said, iteration will take place. Okay, repetition of the loop will take place based on the given condition. So this is the condition based on which we will decide whether or not the particular body needs to be executed. Then followed by that, we have the updation part. So updation is nothing but it will either increment the value of the counter you have taken, or it will decrement the value. Okay, so here it's, I have taken an increment operator. Fine. So this is what, so this is how we write the for statement. Then we have, after this statement, we have braces, inside which you have the body of the for statement. Okay, so if the condition is true, you get inside and execute everything that is inside the body. Okay, as simple as that. So now let's start with the for first. See, here I have taken one integer type of variable I. Okay, then I have done the initialization, so I is initialized to 1. I, a condition has been taken where I is less than equal to 10, so I will check the value of I until I is less than or equal to 10. So this particular body, this particular body will be repeated until this condition is satisfied. Fine. Then we have an increment operator, I plus plus. So every time there's an iteration, the value of I will be incremented by 1. Okay, now what do we have inside? We have inside the block, we have only one statement, that is the printf statement, which will simply print the value of I. Okay, so it is a very simple program, there's nothing much to it. Okay, so we'll just see how it how the steps will be executed. So since we have already made the declaration and initialization is done inside the for statement, so I have I have shown the steps from this. Okay, from the for statement here. Okay, so starting with the first iteration. Fine. See, the value of I will be 1. It is just keep a look at this. Value of I is 1 at the very beginning. Then we check for conditions. Is 1 less than 10? Yes, true. Okay, then you get inside, control gets inside the statement block. What do we have there? We simply have to print the value of I. So here, since value of I is 1, so Y will get printed. Fine. Then the value of I will be incremented by 1. Now I was 1, therefore I plus plus gives me 2. Fine. Now in this, for the second iteration, my I has become 2. Then again we check for the condition. Is true 2 less than equal to 10? Yes, true. Then you again get inside the value of the current I. Okay, the current value of I, sorry, the current value of I will be printed, which is 2. And then again I get incremented by 1, which gives us 3. Fine. Then again you go for the third iteration. Now since value of I is 3, we again check for the condition 3 less than equal to 10. Yes, true. Again you get inside, 3 gets printed. Again the value of I is incremented by 1, therefore I get 4. So this is how the iteration will continue. Okay, every time for every condition. Okay, every time you get an updated value for I, you check it against the condition, okay, against the value given in the condition, and if it is found to be true, the block will be executed. So this will be continued till the 10th iteration. Okay, so here we come to the 10th iteration directly. So in the 10th iteration, if you see, okay, in the 9th iteration, the value of I was finally updated to be 10. Okay, then in the 10th iteration, we again check for the condition. Yes, 10 is less than equal to 10. 10 is not less than 10, but 10 is equal to 10. So again, condition is true. You again get inside, print 10 and increment I. Now I gets increment. Now I becomes 11. Fine. Again, this will continue. Okay. Again, we come to the 11th iteration. Now, here we will again check the value of 11. Sorry. We will check the value of I against the value given in the condition. So is 11 less than or equal to 10? So none of the conditions is satisfied. Fine. Since the result is false, therefore you will not get inside the body anymore. And then, you come out of the loop. You don't, the body will simply skip the loop. It will not get executed. And whatever statements are there following the loop will get executed. So since there we don't have any other statement apart from return 0, therefore we come to an end of our program. Fine. So finally, just look at this. All the numbers marked in red from 1 to 10 will get executed. So this will be the output for your current program. Fine. So this is how the for loop works. The same example has been written using while statement here. Okay, just differences has been made based on the syntax. So difference between for and while lies in the syntax only. Okay, otherwise the execution, processing, everything is same. Fine. So here, as you can see in the for statement, initialization, conditions, and updations, everything is written in the same line, and we separate them using semicolons. Fine. Here, initialization is always done at the beginning. Fine. Then we have the while statement. So first, beside why, we give a condition. Okay, so condition, we always write the condition inside the bracket with while statement, then followed by the parenthesis, we have the block. Okay, so followed by this, we have the block here. Okay, so if the condition is true, you get inside the block, the statements gets executed in the sequence it is given, and then finally the value, okay, the counter variable is implemented based on how you increment or decrement it. Fine. And it is not always that you have to use always I plus plus or I minus minus. Okay, you can increment the value of I in whichever way you want. You can also increase the value of I by 10, by 20, by 30, by 40. It is up to you. Here, for this logic, for this program, I have chosen to increment I by 1 only. That is why I have used increment operator. Fine. If you want to increase the value of I by 2 or by 3, you can simply write I equal to I plus 2. Okay, in the updation part. Fine. So, as I said, the difference between for and while lies only in the syntax. So you can see that in for, all initializations, conditions, and updations are written in the same line, but here we write it in 3 different parts. Okay, first initialization is done, then we have the condition inside the while statement, and then we have the block, and at the end we have the increment operator, okay, or decrement operator. So again, if you look at the execution steps here for while, it is again the same, provided, okay, everything is same here, provided initialization, okay, in the former example, initialization was done here, fine, with the iteration, but here initialization will be done prior to the while statement. So first initialization, so value of I is initialized to 1. Now once we start with the while statement, we will only check for conditions and updations. Fine. So everything is same here. So again, as given here, value of I is 1. Okay, so starting with the while statement, so first value of I will be checked against the value given in the condition, which is 10. Okay, it is true, then 1 is printed. So inside here also we have only one, 2 statements, of course, but however, in updation part belongs to the while statement itself. So if you see, we have only one statement, that is the printf. Okay, that is what needs to be done. So here, based on the condition, all the values of I will be printed, and with every iteration, the value of I will be updated. It will be incremented by 1. Okay, and again for the next iteration, that value will be checked against the value given in the condition. So this will continue till the 11th iteration, where finally we have the value of I to be 11. Then that value will be checked against 10. Okay, this is not required. Okay, that value of I will be checked against 10. Okay, since it is found to be false, therefore we exit the block. Okay, we exit the block body of the while statement, then the program terminals as given in this example. Okay, so if you see, both for and while are same, provided the syntax are a bit different. Next we come to the do while statement. Now first let us go through the example, then we will go for the difference. So here in do while, again the same example has been considered. Okay, and just look at the syntax. So if you look at the syntax of while and do while, here the syntaxes are same. Fine, just a minor difference is done here. Initialization always is done at the very beginning, before the start of the statements, be it while statement or do while. Then in do while, what did we have? We had the while keyword followed by the condition, but here we have the condition at the end of the do while statement. We will check the condition at the end. Okay, so the statement always begins with the do keyword. Okay, and there we do not have any condition. So it will always begin with a do. We don't have a condition here. So since we do not have a condition, it will have normal execution, which means we don't have to go for any testing. Okay, we don't have to go for conditions here at the very beginning. So initially you have do only. So therefore, you know, irrespective of whatever condition you have, it will get inside the execution, will get inside, control will get inside the block. Then you have this statement. So accordingly, the statements will, the values will be executed for one. Then you have the, just as in while, here also you have the updation statement. Fine. Then the body, okay, we close the body, followed by the while condition. So here the while condition, the condition is always written at the end of the do while statement. Fine. So otherwise, while and do while are same. Okay, in terms of syntax. Now we check the program execution first. Okay, since initialization was done at the very beginning, so we have it here. Then do. Okay, so since we don't have any condition, it's marked here. For the first iteration, we don't have any test conditions, so we directly get inside the loop. Then the value of 1 gets printed. Okay, it gets incremented by 1 and it gives us 2. Now my value of I is 2. Fine. Now at the end, okay, here for this condition, now what do we have? We have while I less than equal to 10. Now this value of I, okay, will be checked against 10. So which I will be checked? So the updated value of I will be checked against 10 now. Fine. So the first value, the initial value that we, consider here, that was 1. The initial value is never checked. Fine. The initial value is never considered for testing purpose. Here always the next updated value of the counter is considered, okay, for the condition testing. So initially my I was 1, it got printed, it got incremented accordingly. Then the latest value of I, the updated value of I will be considered for condition. So now 2 will be checked against 10. Okay, if the condition is true, yes, you go for the next iteration. Therefore 2 will get printed. Okay, fine, as given in the statement. Then it will be incremented by 1. So again you have 3. Now 3 will be checked against 10. Yes, true. Again, it will repeat. Okay, so this block will repeat just as in the former examples. It will go on repeating. Okay, till 10th iteration, everything will be same. Okay, at the end of 10th iteration, what do we have? I plus plus. So I gets updated by 1, which is 11. And finally in the 11th iteration, we again check for wait, huh? Okay, so here again at the end, okay, we check whether 11 is less than equal to 10. Okay, so here, since, okay, this will not be, so at the end, okay, the value of 11 will be checked against 10. So if it is found, since it is found to be false, therefore we will not have any other iteration, and therefore you exit from the body. Fine. And if there are statements further, they will get executed, else it will terminate the program execution. So this is how the do while works. Okay, and these numbers will be the output. Okay, so if you see, if you compare all the three, the outputs are the same. Okay, and the way they, the outputs will be same, and they are doing the same work, provided, depending on their syntax, the way of, processing the numbers will be a bit different based on the syntax. Fine. So if you draw any difference between for, while and do while, you see for, while are same. Okay, but however they are different from do while in the sense, in for and while, condition is always checked at the beginning of the loop. Fine. If the condition is true, only then you can get inside the loop. Now in these two cases, okay, let me just say, suppose my initial value of I in both the cases is say 12. Okay, it can happen. Say my values are 12 in both these examples. Fine. Now, how will the program execution take place? Now see, since in both cases my values are 12, so first let's check for the for loop, I is 12, okay, then, so this is 12 here, okay, 12. Now, is 12 less than equal to 10? No, this is not true. Fine. Therefore, you cannot get inside, okay, and therefore, you cannot, the blocks, the statements inside the block, inside the body will never be executed. Fine. So this is the same for while also, okay. Only if the condition is true, only then you can get inside the body. Even in here, if you take I to be 12, is 12 less than equal to 10? No. Therefore, you can never execute the statements inside the body, okay. It will simply terminate the body. So this is how, conditions are checked, and if the condition is not true, the body will never be executed. But if the same value is considered in this example also for do while, okay, even if here I take the value of I to be 12, now you see, since we don't have any condition at the beginning, so it does not matter. Fine. So this will anyways be, executed. The block will anyways be executed. So first, since there are no test conditions, the first iteration will always take place. So we will have the value as 12. Okay, we will have the value as 12. Then I gets incremented. Okay, I becomes 13 now. Now this value will be checked against the condition. Is 13 less than equal to 10? No. Since the condition is not satisfied now, then it will simply terminate the body, and then you go for the next statement execution. Okay, so here, irrespective of the condition, do while statement will always execute at least once. Okay, it always will execute at least once, irrespective of whatever condition is given, as the condition is always checked at the end. Okay. Okay. So this is all about for while and do while. We now come to some other related statements. Okay, some other related loop control statements, which are break, continue, and go to. So basically, this break, continue, and go to statements are used to, change the normal execution of a program. Okay, whenever you want to bring about some change in the normal execution of a program, you can make use of break, continue, and go to. You have already seen the use of break statements in switch. Yes, you have already seen it there, so you know by now what is the use of break statement. So basically, in case of switch, if we talk about switch statement, so what do? You have seen there, we use the break statements inside every case. Okay, inside every case. So why do we use the break statement? To exit, okay, to terminate the switch statement. Fine. So wherever you detect the break statement, okay, in whichever, if you, so break statement can basically used with the switch statement, as well as it can be used with loop control statement, that is with for, while, or do while. So whenever you encounter any break statement, either in for, while, or do while, or even with switch case, if you encounter a break statement, it will terminate the loop or the statement block in which it was, written, okay, in which it appeared. Fine. So that is the work of the break statement. The execution, the control comes to the end of the loop. Okay, so talking about for, while, do while, if it is written inside these loop control statements, it will used where if you detect the break statement inside any of these loop control statements, it will simply exit that particular loop. It will directly come out of the entire loop. Fine. And if you if you get it inside the switch statement, wherever you get it, wherever it is executed, it will simply exit the entire switch statement. Fine. So that is the work of break. Continue statement is to continue, okay, to keep repeating the statements. Okay, so it causes the loop to skip the remainder of its body and immediately retest its condition prior to reiterating. So basically, continue, what it does is, just wait for a minute. So whenever in a statement block, or in a you encounter the continue statement, okay, the control goes back to the beginning of the loop, okay, in which it was declared, and it will start with the next iteration. Fine. It will skip the, so you are given a block, you are given a statement block. Okay, you are executing the statement block in the sequence as it is written. Then when you encounter the continue statement, okay, it will sync, the control will get transferred automatically to the beginning of the, you know, loop in which it was declared, and it starts with the next iteration, and therefore it skips all the steps, you know, in that loop that appeared just after the continue statement. So we will check all these in examples given below. Okay, I have given examples for all these. Just wait. And then go to is an unconditional, you know, it does unconditional transfer. Fine. So it transfers control to the label statement. So go to is used for unconditional transfers, and the control goes to the that particular part of the program. Okay, to wait, you know, that particular part of the program that is mentioned in the go to statement by the keyword label. Fine. Okay, so we will just check all these with some examples. Okay, so first coming to the break statement, you see it's a very simple program. Fine. So here we have the for statement. Okay, so here I have taken a counter I, which will start from I, and it will, you know, it will continue till 5. Then inside which we have the print I. Okay, printf I. So here we will print the value of I. Then we have an if statement inside. So if I equal to 3, inside the if statement we have break. Okay, so now we will see how this execution takes place. So you see here, so we can start with the first iteration. Okay, we start from here. So the first iteration says, okay, since I is equal to 1, we check the condition, then 1 is less than equal to 5. Yes, true. Then you get inside. Okay, since condition is true, you get inside the statement block, body of the for loop. Then the first statement is to print the value of I. So I will be, you know, 1 will get printed. Then we check for the condition, is I equal to 3. So is 1 equal to 3? No, false. Okay, so you know that if the condition is not true, you cannot get inside the statement block. Yes, so since I is not equal to 3, therefore you cannot get inside. And then finally what will happen is, you know, increment will take place. Okay, I gets incremented by 1, so I gives me 2. Now I have I equal to 2. So I start with the next iteration, and at the same time this value 1 will be printed. Okay, so this will be the first output. Next, you see, now my value of I is 2. Okay, again I will check for the condition, is 2 less than equal to 5? Yes, true. Again you get inside, again 2 will be printed now. Okay, 2 is printed. Now you check for the next condition. Wait. Okay, I can see some of the comments in the chat section. I will clear. Okay, once I you know, end with the explanation, I'll clear all your doubts. Fine. Okay, so continuing with it, you see, okay, where was I? Okay, I equal to, okay, so my latest value of I was 2. Okay, now we start with is 2, so I will get printed accordingly. 2 gets printed. Then this value of I will be checked against 3. So is 2 equal to 3? False. If it is false, the code will not be executed. That is, this particular part will not get executed. Then increment will take place. I gets incremented by 3. Okay, now my I becomes 3. Again, condition will be checked for the third iteration. Is 3 less than equal to 5? Yes, true. Then you again get inside. Again 3 gets printed. So for, you know, so far I have these values as output. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so these are my output. Okay, so I was in this part. Okay, so my latest value of I was found to be 3. Fine. Then, okay, now since 3 is now, you see, Now we again check for the condition. First I will get printed accordingly, then we check for the condition. Now is 3 equal to 3? Yes, it is true. Okay, now since the condition is true, you get inside. Okay, the control gets inside. And what is the statement inside the block? We only have one statement, which is the break statement. Now when this break statement will be encountered, when this will be executed, what will it do is it will directly terminate or exit the loop in which it was declared. Fine. So since it is declared in this for loop, inside this for loop, okay, so it will directly terminate the entire for loop. Okay, so therefore our control now comes directly to the end here. Okay, in this part. So now there will no longer be, we will no longer perform any iterations. Fine, we have exited the for loop now. Now after this, what do we have? Return 0. Therefore we come to the program termination, program execution termination. No, so if you see, what were the values of I that were printed? So first, this was successful, I was successfully, 1 was successfully printed, then we had 2, then we had 3. Okay, but when after printing the value of 3, okay, it at the same time satisfied this condition also. And inside this condition block, what did we have? The break statement, which led to the termination of the entire for loop, and therefore we could not continue with the iteration. So we came to the end of the execution of the for loop. Okay, and therefore finally, since we don't have any other statements other than the return 0, therefore we now finally come to the end of the program termination. So at the end we will be left with only this output. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. So these are the only 3 numbers out of 5 that will be displayed. Fine. Okay, so next we'll look at the next program. Continue. You see, continue is just the reverse of break. Okay, it is just the reverse of break. So here break is used to terminate a loop in which it is declared. Continue is used to go back to the beginning of the loop in which it is declared and continue with the next iteration. Fine. So break terminates the loop and therefore it brings an end to every iteration. Fine. Continue transfers the control back to the beginning of the loop in which it is written, in which it is declared, and it continues with the next iteration of that block. Fine, of that loop in which it is declared. So this is the basic difference between break and continue. Okay, also from the name itself you can make out. Okay, you see it is a similar example. Yeah. Okay, and here I have given the steps of execution. Now let's see. Okay, so I'll again discuss this section. Okay, so I has been taken to be 1. Fine. Again, 1 less than equal to 5. Yes, true. Then we come inside. Fine. Then again, first and now here we'll first encounter the if statement, and then we have a printf statement. So here in the if statement, what do we have? We have a condition if I equal to 2. So first, since my value of I is 1, so I'll check this condition. So is 1 equal to 2? False. Okay, 1 is not equal to 2. This is false. Therefore you cannot get inside the block. Okay, so here it is written already, code will not get executed. Fine. And after the code, what do we have? The printf statement. So this will simply print the value of I. So my I was 1, it will simply print 1, and then it will increment as far as the for statement is concerned. So it will get updated and it becomes 2. Now my second iteration takes place. So in the second iteration, 2 will be checked against 5. Yes, the initial condition. It is found to be true. Then you come inside. Now this condition will be checked again. Okay, so 2 is equal to 2. It is true. So since it is true, the block will be executed. Okay, the if statement block will be executed. And inside the block, we have only one statement, that is the continue statement. So when this will be executed, as I said, transfer gets, back to the beginning of the loop in which it was declared. So now when this will be executed, the transfer will go back to the beginning. Fine. It will go back to the beginning. So when it will go back to the beginning, of course, since we are inside the for statement, I has to be, okay, I has to be incremented by 1. Okay, so my I gives what? I becomes 3 now. So as you can see, after the continue statement was executed, okay, since the transfer got back to the beginning of the for statement and it went on continuing with the next iteration, okay, it updated the value of I and it started with the next iteration. So you have noticed that this particular statement got skipped when I was equal to 2. Okay, so for I equal to 2, okay, since on execution of the continue statement, you will again have to go back to the beginning of the for statement. Okay, so this particular statement will be skipped. So continue statement also, you know, skips. Okay, it also lets some statements of the code skip. Okay, so now our value of I is 3. Okay, so we'll again go for the third iteration. So 3 less than equal to 5. Yes, it is true. Then you again come inside. Is 3 equal to 2? No, false. Therefore, this particular part will not be executed. Since it will not be executed, now you can come to the again next part, which is the printf statement. So this value 3 will get printed. Again, value of I gets okay, updated by 1. So I becomes 4. So this continues. Okay, so this continues. I is 4. Now again, is 4 equal to 2? No. Okay, so the code will not be executed. Continuous statement will not be executed. Therefore, you can now directly come and print the value of I now, which is 4. Okay, then I gets updated by 1. I becomes 5. You go to the fifth iteration. Again, this value will be checked. Yes, 5 is less than equal to 5. True. You come inside. Is 5 equal to 2? No. This part will be skipped. You again come here, print the value of I, which is 5. Again, I gets incremented by 1. I become 6. You go for the sixth iteration now. Since 6 is not less than or equal to 5, therefore, we directly come to an end of the for statement and therefore the program execution terminates. Fine. So if you see, okay, just wait. Okay. So if you see the outputs that I have finally obtained, okay, are all the numbers from 1 to 5, provided the number 2 was skipped. Okay, printing value 2 was skipped. Other than that, all the numbers were, you know, printed. So this is the difference of continue and break. Okay, so in break, you know, after 3, so once I became 3 here, so when this condition was satisfied, until then, you know, until this condition was satisfied, everything was normal. But once the value of I became 3 here, okay, this particular statement got executed and we did not get any other chance to execute the further values of I, because this statement led to the termination of the entire for statement. Okay, therefore we could not go for values of, you know, 4 and 5 for I. But in continue, the control is always transferred to the beginning of the loop and it lets the next iteration to take place. Okay, so this is the basic difference between break and continue. Then we come to the go to statement. So I found a question in the chat section where somebody asked, ma'am, what is a labeled statement? So here we'll see go to statement. So what is go to statement? Actually, as I said, it is an unconditional transfer of control statements. Okay, so here, just as in you know, for loop, sorry, just as in break or continue, okay, we check for conditions. Okay, but this is unconditional. You don't have to check for conditions. Talking about the go to statement, okay, you have to, actually it is used for jumping. Okay, you have a program, you have a sequence of statements. Okay, it will you know, it will be executed in the way you have written the statements. However, once you encounter a go to statement, okay, go to is a keyword which is always followed by the word label. Fine. So whenever you encounter such a statement, the transfer will always, you know, jump. The transfer will jump to that particular part of the problem, to that particular part of the program, you know, that has been declared in the label section. Fine. So you go to label. So label is that part of the program. So in your program, you must, mark a block of statements, okay, that will, as label. So whenever execute, whenever this particular statement will be executed, your control will directly go to that part as identified by the label. Okay. So there are two types of jumps actually. One is forward jump, one is backward jump. So in forward jump, we encounter the go to statement first, okay, and the control will go to that part of the program that comes after the go to statement. And in backward jump, the jump takes place in the opposite manner, okay. The go to statement comes after, okay. So what the control gets back, you jump to the previous part of the problem, okay, in this backward jump. So we'll see one example here. Okay, see here. Okay, this is one example with forward jump. Okay, so see, let's understand the label part here. Okay, this is a very simple example. First we have printf statement, okay, which gives us hello. So it will simply print the output hello. It will simply print hello in the output stream. So we have hello here. Okay, since we do not have any conditions, of course, it will simply print hello on the output stream. Then followed by the printf statement, we have the go to statement now. Okay, now what? See, we have go to L1. So this is the label. Okay, so this is one label. Okay, so here go to label will simply transfer the control to that particular part of the program that has been identified by this label L1. Okay, so if you see, this is that part of the program that has been identified as L1 label. Fine. So once this statement will be executed, the control will directly transfer to that part of the problem and it will skip all the statements that comes midway. Okay, it will skip all the statements that will come between the go to statement and the label. Fine. So this, once this statement is encountered, fine, what you do is you directly have to jump to the L1 label. So what do we have? So see, there's a way of marking labels. You first mark the label, okay, you name it as you have written here. It should be the same name. Okay, so L1 is my label. It should always be followed by the colon. Okay, and then you will have the statement block. So it can be a single statement also, it can be a number of statements. Okay, it can be multiple statements also. So here in this example, I have used only single statement. So when this go to statement will be executed, your transfer will directly jump to this part, okay, of the label, and whatever statements are there in that label will get executed. Fine. So here I have only high. So this high will be printed, and therefore, next is return 0. So your program terminates. Now, if you see in this program, this statement will never be executed. Okay. So this is one example of forward jump. If you want to execute this statement, one thing you can do is you can make use of backward jump here. So how you do that? You can again make use of another go to, say L2. Fine. You can make use of another label, a go to statement here, go to L2, and mark this as L2 now. Mark this as L2. Sorry. Wait. Now you see, again, if you go for this execution, first, this statement will anyways get printed. Okay, you have hello here. Then the next statement is go to L1. So the control will go directly to the L1 label. What do we have here? Printf high. So high will get printed. Yes. Then what do we have? Next statement is, okay, so these statements got executed. So let me just highlight the statements that got executed. Okay, these statements are executed. Now the next statement in this sequence is go to L2. Okay, when this statement will be executed, where do you have L2? Here. So this is called backward jump. Okay, this one, where the label appears prior to the go to statement. So here go to L2. So now your statement, your control will go backwards. It will go to this label. Now this will get executed, and here finally you will have this output how are you? Okay, how are you? Okay, so this is how you can use go to, okay, to jump in different parts of your program. Okay, so this is how you use go to. And lastly, we have infinite loop. So what is infinite loop? You see, infinite loop is when you don't have, you know, it is actually the for loop where there is no condition. Okay, there is no initialization, there is no condition, and there is no updation part. Okay, so when you get such for statements, okay, where you have no initialization, no condition, and no updation, then this particular for statement somewhat becomes equivalent to while true. Okay, the while true statement. So while true means while the condition is true, it will get executed. That means it is an infinite loop. Okay, so whenever you encounter for statements of this type, always remember it is an infinite loop. So therefore this loop will run forever. Fine, this is one example of infinite loop. And also to let you know that it is also possible to have for statements without any of these three parts, just as in case of infinite loop, or to have or to not have any of these parts. Say you don't have the condition, it is possible you don't have a condition, or you don't have say initialization here, or you don't have the updation part here. So accordingly the functions will be different. Okay, the execution of the program will be different. So here I end today's lecture.